Okay, guys, in this video, I'm going to talk about the intro to Unit 1, which gets into Enlightenment philosophers, and then the one required document we're going to talk about in this video, the Declaration of Independence. And we separate the Declaration of Independence into two main segments, the philosophical arguments, and then you have the colonists' key grievances. All right. I don't have the term up here, but the Constitution is born out of the Enlightenment. Enlightenment basically was using logic and reason to understand nature. That's going to spill over into political science, and people are going to start to question the way that human beings have been governing themselves. At this time, right, you mainly have monarchies or what's called autocratic systems. Thomas Hobbes is one Enlightenment philosopher. He's a little bit old school in that he says that human beings by nature are wicked. They're going to be selfish. Therefore, they need a strong monarch. John Locke, on the other hand, says, no, human beings are, yes, selfish, but at the same time, they will look out for the greater good. And not only that, but human beings are born with natural rights. These are life, liberty, and Locke says property. Later, Jefferson's going to say happiness. Locke goes on to say that governments are formed to protect these natural rights, and that should governments become abusive, the people have the right to overthrow the government. Okay. We talk about those Enlightenment philosophers because we see them show up in the Constitution quite a bit. You can see some mistrust of the people in the Constitution. We'll get to that later. But then again, you see that the framers do give the people power through certain democratic systems we find in the Constitution. Okay. First required document in AP Gov, right? You have the 9 required documents. Declaration of Independence, written by Jefferson, right? This is why we celebrate July 4th, right? July 4th, 1776. It basically gets sent to England. It is not a legally binding document. It is just a breakup letter, okay? I break it up into 2 main sections. 1, the philosophical arguments, and then 2, the key grievances that are made in the Declaration of Independence, okay? So with the Declaration of Independence, the philosophical arguments, it mainly rests on Locke's philosophy, okay? So Jefferson is basically plagiarizing Locke at the beginning of this thing, uses Locke's philosophy of unalienable or natural rights, limited governments. A limited government is any government that's going to be constrained, okay, by something. It could be a guiding document like a constitution, or it could be constrained by the people and that they elect the representatives. That's what a limited government is, okay? Are formed to protect these rights. Governments get their power from the consent of the governed. We call that popular sovereignty. So when government gets its power from the people, that is known as popular sovereignty. If government becomes abusive, people should overthrow the government, okay? So this is the philosophical arguments, the Declaration of Independence. Let's find the key grievances, all right? So Declaration of Independence, the colonist grievances, what's going on there? Colonist grievances. There's a whole list that basically Jefferson gets into, all right? He starts every stanza with he's done this and he's done that. He's basically talking about King George III there. But there's 4 main ones that I focus on, and the reason I focus on them is because we're going to see them get corrected in the Constitution or addressed in the Constitution. And being that the College Board likes to see you guys make connections in AP government, this is the key information to know. All right, so the colonist key grievances, taxation without representation. We've heard that. You've had U.S. history. You know what that is. Unjust trials, no trial by jury. The judiciary, the judicial system should be independent. It should be beholden to the law only, not to a king, not to a president. All right, there was a lot of abuses in the courts. So you're going to see throughout the Bill of Rights, a whole lot is in the Bill of Rights to try and connect those abuses that happened during the colonial era. Quartering of British soldiers in private homes. So basically the king was forcing the colonists to house British soldiers. This is going to be corrected by the Third Amendment. The abolition of colonial assemblies, right? It makes sense that there was going to be some self-rule, being that England was a 3-month journey by sea away. So there needed to be, these local assemblies in order to deal with local issues. The king's going to abolish those as well. All of these are your key grievances of the Declaration of Independence.